YouTubers? Randy here with David. We decided to bring to you a list of our personal top 10 favorite games. We're going to introduce them, give you a little quick rundown of why they're our favorites. Again, this isn't of all time for anybody else other than myself. DRAM has his own. So, having said that, again, like I said, like it. If you don't like it, sorry, it's our personal favorites. Everybody has their own opinion. So, we'll let David start out with his very first choice.
Mine would be on the PlayStation 3, a game I spent a lot of hours playing with online, roaming free worlds, which would be Grand Theft Auto 5. Something I enjoy getting together with friends and just playing on there. It's always fun when you get mad you can actually shoot your friend and not actually get in trouble for it.
This is true. And be able to cuss them out, too, is always a plus. Without having to call them up. But, yeah, I really didn't play the Grand Theft Auto 5s too much. I loved Vice City, and I loved 3. Played San Andreas a little bit. Then after that, I kind of lost interest in it. But I am thinking about picking up the GTA 5 because of David and a couple other people I know play it. So, yeah, we'll see.
5 it really, I mean, comparisons to any other game, it's really blown sales out the water compared to it's broke many records.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it broke the record for the most sold on release day, I think. So, now we'll move on to my number 10, and this had a lot to do with my childhood, is Shadowgate for the Nintendo. It's made by Kimco. Pretty sure it's made by Kimco. I may be wrong. But either way, it was one of those, you move to a room, pick something up, move something, kind of like a point and click type thing for Nintendo. But it had a really good story to it. It wasn't a very long game once you figured out what you were doing. It had a little magic and a little sorcery, a little puzzle solving. And I liked those games as a kid. I really enjoyed role-playing and puzzle-solving games, stuff like that. It was just one of those things. Most of my friends didn't like them because it required thinking and strategy and things like that. And like Maniac Mansion was another one that was like that. You know, you had all the different things you could make up and all the different people and all that.
Oh, I love Maniac Mansion. With a little hamster in the microwave.
Yes. One of my personal favorites as well. It didn't make my top 10 list, but it's still good. All right, you're number 9.
My number 9 will come up to PlayStation 2 game, Need for Speed Underground. I enjoyed it a lot because at the time I was really into cars and being able to modify your own cars, paint them, put the decal vinyls and everything on there. Spent a lot of time just sitting there redoing the cars. It was also, I mean, just a fun game to play.
Yeah, I remember that because that's back when I was really into the whole street scene and all, and I had my Neon. It was turbocharged and customized with body kits, stuff like that. And yeah, that one was really good. That was a really good franchise all the way across. I remember playing the original one on 3DO way back when, man, and I was bit in Road Rash.
The graphics for that was awesome. I mean, at the time, 3DO just really blew everybody out of the water with their graphics.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were a little before their time. I still think they'd be a force to reckon with today. But then again, without them, we would never had the PlayStation. So you can think that's going to be a whole other video where I talk about video game lore and stuff. But you'll find out later on that actually 3DO was responsible for the PlayStation. Yep. But anyway, it's on to my number 9. Mine is Gunsmoke for the regular Nintendo. The reason that game means so much to me is when I got my Nintendo, growing up, we were very poor. I mean, you know, we didn't have money like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, we wasn't homeless or anything like that. But, you know, to get a $300 Nintendo system at the time was pretty much out of our scope. But my dad at the time was working for a job, and the guy gave him some extra work on the side and everything and paid him cash and stuff, didn't tax it and all that stuff. So anyway, long story short, they were able to give me a Nintendo. That was all they could afford at the time, but again, like I said, I'm from very humble beginnings, and I was very appreciative of that. But what it was is my grandmother gave me $50 for Christmas. And she's like, I know you probably want a game for your new system. Here you go. So I went to Walmart, and another funny twist is this was the very first Walmart ever built in North Carolina. And my dad actually worked on the Walmart, and we got to meet Sam Walton. And I had pictures of my dad with Sam Walton, but unfortunately when our house burnt down, they got burned up. But anyway, so I looked through the case and all that, and my dad was really into Westerns, and he really liked Gunsmoke, the TV show, and he liked Bonanza and all that. And so my dad never became a gamer, and he never really seemed interested in it. Now my mom, on the other hand, is a whole other story too, but she loved gaming. But I thought maybe my dad would play with me if I got this. but it also looked really good. You know, it was a shoot 'em up. You're, you know, a Western guy. You know, and I lived in North Carolina. You know, pretty country. Grew up on a farm, so it appealed to me. And you know, me and my dad used to play duck hunt, so I was like, this might be pretty good. So I picked it up, and I wasn't disappointed. It was a very great game. It got nearly impossible to beat at the end without a Game Genie, but eventually I beat it even without a Game Genie. So that was my personal favorite. One of my personal favorites growing up. And again, like I said, more of that sentimental value. So on to David's number 8.
My number 8 would be the first introduction to horror gaming, and this was on a system some of you may not have played. If you had a chance to play the TurboGrafx, I love the system, love the games, but the game that I played on there that I loved more than any was Splatterhouse. Like I said, it was my first introduction to horror gaming. I thought it was cool. The little character looked like Jason, running around with a chainsaw through everything. It had some awesome in-fights. Graphics were pretty cool. The music was even decent music on the game. But the gore on it, everything, it just pulled me in. I love horror movies, and this come right along with it. And I fell in love with Splatterhouse from the day that I played it. There's been a lot of duplicates, a lot of remakes of it, but none were ever the same as the TurboGrafx version.
The closest one I ever found to the Turbo one was the Genesis one. Mm-hmm. It was pretty good, but it still wasn't a direct port. A lot of people don't know that, but NEC was actually, most people know them through TurboGrafx-16, but they also started out making cash registers. And up until a few years, well, actually probably up to about 10, 15 years ago, NEC was it. They were on top of it. Their subsidiary company, I believe they still owned them at the time, was NCR, which became a National Cash Register. They took over the market, and I think they sold and separated. But I actually had a friend of my dad's who worked for NEC, and as an employee, everything that NEC made, they gave you. So they gave her a TurboGrafx, a Turbo Duo, a Turbo Express. She had all that, all the games ever made and all that, and I was fortunate enough to pick that up. I was an idiot at the time, though. I was into reselling, not really into collecting other than Nintendo, and so I sold it all for a pretty penny, I'm not going to lie. But I got it pretty cheap. I think she sold it to me for like $200. But it was everything they ever made for the TurboGrafx, Turbo CD, Turbo Duo, Turbo, all that stuff.
I think one of the best things Turbo did was those little cards. The game, I mean,
I was just fixing to say, Hue cards were one of the smartest things. Virtually indestructible, you know, and to clean them was real easy. It's not like Nintendo games, you have to take them apart and all that. I definitely give them props on that. That was really good.
The only thing that I disliked about the TurboGrafx was the fact you only had one controller port. You had to buy the add-on to do two.
They did get you on that, yeah, you did buy it. But they were the first to really make the multi-tap pliable.
Yeah.
A lot of, like, Nintendo had multi-taps, but I mean, like, let's be real, they had what, 4 or 5 4-player games? Yeah. RC Pro-Am, and that's all I can think of off the top of my head. But then again, you gotta remember, Nintendo also created a robot to play with you. That's kind of a cool concept, but at the same time, I think that's kind of sad that your parents felt like, oh, he's got no friends. Let's get him robbed.
This is your new best friend.
Right. He'll play 2 games with you. But anyway, my number 7 game, and David can tell you, would have to be Lemmings. Lemmings is something that I loved. Again, I love those puzzle strategy games. But with this, the bug bit me on 3DO. I couldn't quit playing it, man. And it was hilarious because where I worked at the time, which was Microplay, like I just couldn't stop pushing it. You know, that's all I ever played. And I don't know how many 3DOs I sold, as well as you know, other things too, because I love the 3DO and I always push Lemmings. You know, and then Road Rash and Need for Speed, of course, were out at the time. A bunch of other games for 3DO. But my boss laughed at me because when Lemmings came out on PlayStation, I ordered like 20 copies. And he was like, man, we're never going to sell 20 copies. What's wrong with you? I'm like, look, even if we don't sell them, we can send them back. You know, but I ended up selling every single copy because it's my personal favorite. And a lot of our customers, and David experienced as well as another location, is a lot of customers come to trust you.
Yeah.
And they start feeling your heart when you put into games. And when you truly feel passionate about a game, it comes across like that. You know, I hear people talk on links of games that they're passionate about, like Zelda, you know, and things like that, you know, Mario, and of course some of the non-passionate games, or no, some of the suck games, like Echo. I know people that will cut you if you tell them that Echo sucked. Personally, I think Echo sucked. It was a great concept, but you know, it wasn't all that great of a game to me. But these people It's what they're passionate about. So when you're passionate about it, people pick that up. And so people knew I was passionate about Lemmings. And so, and just to show you that Lemmings stood the test of time, they brought it back out just a couple of years ago. But they put a little twist on it. It's called Mario versus Donkey Kong in the March of the Minis. It's the same basic concept. You have a bunch of little guys, you make them go in certain areas to do certain things. So anyway, but like I said, back in the 3DO years, which was about 94, 95 when I was playing it, I couldn't stop playing it. It was one of my favorite games of all time. And it was a lot of puzzles. Like you had like 5 different subcategories that had like 100 puzzles in them. And I'm a big fan, that's why I'm a role-playing fan too. I'm a big fan of getting your money's worth out of your game. You know, if I'm going to spend $60 on a game, I want my money out of it, you know. And that's one of the reasons I don't like some of the newer stuff is, you know, like Witcher was a good example. You know, it was well worth $60. But then you got games like The Order 1886 that literally took me 2 days to beat. And I was very disappointed, you know, because I spent $60 on that game and then it was beat in 2 days. And then trade-in values were very low on it to start with. And then literally like a month later, you could buy it new through Best Buy for like $30. It fluctuates now and then, but still, I think now it's on like $40. So it's kind of disappointing. So.
Yeah, and I don't care for when you pay $60 for a game, you get to play 3 stages, and then you have to pay more to get the download content.
Exactly.
That's not how we grew up. You got your more bang for your buck with the games in our days.
Oh yeah, and DLC in our day was Game Genies.
Yeah.
It wasn't really DLC, but yeah.
Like Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, Sonic and Knuckles. Yeah, and one of your other videos is a prime example of that stuff. And again, with that stuff, you know, I don't mind DLC, and I don't mind microtransactions, which is basically what DLC is, and then in-game. Like GTA 5 online's really become popular by the shark cards and everything. Even though I don't play it, I do know about that because obviously it's popular. But I don't mind that if the game's cheap enough. You know, like for example, a lot of things have gone free to play, like World of Warcraft. My personal favorite online MMORPG is EverQuest, and it's all free to play. And I don't mind doing that because there's things that maybe I don't want to pay for. And, you know, like Call of Duty might be a prime example. I don't like to play Call of Duty online at all anymore because people will just take it too serious. Like my brother's a prime example. You can't even spawn without him killing you, you know, and that's no fun to me. I at least want to be able to move around and hunt somebody before I get killed. And so the online part of it does not appeal to me whatsoever. People laugh at me because I go play Call of Duty 2, the original one on 360, because I love the story on it, you know, World War II and everything. And then even online, occasionally we'll catch people online, but there's only like 4 or 5 people online playing. So there's no huge, you know, 6-on-6 teams and camping and shit like that. That's the stuff that kind of irritates me. So that's why I prefer a game with microtransaction, because I'd rather buy Call of Duty for $20 and then buy just a single player mode for $20. And then if I want the online part, pay extra for that. But, you know, that's where Telltale Games has come into play. They did the very popular, you know, Walking Dead series, Wolf Among Us. A lot of people don't know, but they did some other ones too, like Back to the Future, Jurassic Park. I actually have those on my PS3. They were part of a midnight blowout sale for like $2 or $3 something. You got like all 6 episodes. But that's the way it worked. You got the first episode for free, and if you like it, you bought the second episode. You like that, you bought the third. Again, microtransactions, but in my opinion, really good. It's on you now.
My next one, number 7, would started out on the NES, and it's just a fun little game to play. It's got a good replay value to me anyway, was Pilot Wings. Pilot Wings spanned from the NES to Super NES all the way through the 64. I don't think I heard anything about one on the Wii.
There is. It's called Pilot Wings Resort.
Okay, so I haven't played that one, but I loved it. I enjoyed all the different little things between the biplanes, the skydiving, jetpacks. To me, it was addicting trying to go through every single one of them, going through all the rings without missing anything, without crashing. It was just, you know, a good game to play by yourself. Just sit there and try to go through your goals.
I didn't care for it too much, but the thing I thought that blowed harder than that though was Wave Race.
Yeah.
I remember when I worked at the Riverdale Microplay, we imported a Japanese 64, and that was the game that we got. It was Mario and Wave Race. And God, it was driving
Pumped
crazy.
it up, and it just was horrible.
Yeah. My number 6, which is one of my personal favorites, it got banned in the U.S. very quick. It's kind of rare and hard to find, was Snatcher for the Sega CD. Basically, the story was you were a cop in Neo Kobe, I think it was called, was the name of the city, in Japan. And basically, it was alien robots who were snatching people's skin and becoming it. But it had a lot of violence in it for back in those days. You know, That's when Night Trap was under real big scrutiny, you know, for the whole Dana Plato rape thing and all that. And there's like a semi-sex scene in the game, and then like I said, there's a lot of violence and stuff in it. So they kind of shunned it, and it got banned. And then I think they finally released the ban on it. I'm not sure they ever released it or not, but it was one of those games, one of my personal favorites. I enjoyed it. Great story mode. One of the great games made for Sega CD. The thing I think that hurt Sega CD was they were the first to introduce full motion video, but it was just so grainy because it was 16-bit. And I think when they stuck to the games that were cartoony, which will be like one of my other games that are coming up that I'm going to talk about, I think that was their success, was when they did those Sega CD games, but they were cartoony. And Snatcher was one of those. Very well animated, almost manga type looking stuff, but not quite, you know. But again, one of my favorite games. So.
My next one is spanned again throughout the system, through different. One is Gears of War. I am a huge Gears of War. I love that you can play online, but I love, just like Randy was talking earlier, I love the storyline, going through actually playing the story. You really get connected to the actual characters on it, like Dom and Marcus. To me, it was just a game with another one that I said that had a high replay value. I can go back now and play it. I think Gears of War 2 so far has been my favorite out of all of them.
That's my brother's. Yeah, he loves the Gears of War franchise. As a matter of fact, we when he got Xbox One, so we recovered his account on my 360 so we could download his games. And way back in the day, he bought Gears of War 2, and we just re-downloaded it, and that's what he's been playing for a while.
I love it.
I mean, and my thing is, I mean, we have every game system made, so the fact that you can go back to a game like that on a 360 after playing all the stuff on Xbox One, even the other stuff like Witcher and all that stuff, and still go back and play, that's a good thing. And then, of course, at E3, they announced the new Gears of War, which is going to be really nice.
We need to do one thing, a video one time on one of the first, like, online play and go back to remember X-Band?
Oh, yeah. That'll be in our, we're going to do a video later on about retro systems and some of the lore and stuff behind it. Like, I'm explaining the whole PS1 from 3DO thing, and I'm going to explain things like how Nintendo's and Super Nintendo's really turn yellow. Is it really cigarette smoke? Is it crack? Whatever, you know. But yeah, that's a good idea. We'll talk about the X-Band. The X-Band was definitely way ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a great accessory at the time. My number 5, and this is one of my personal favorites, and again, it's because I'm a role-playing guy, and the story just grabbed me. I didn't really enjoy the first one as much, which was on Nintendo, but this one got me, and I'm not going to lie, it brought me into the franchise, and it put Square Enix in my line of sight, which, of course, come on later on to make some of the greats, you know, Secret of Mana, Secret Evermore, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. But my number 5 is Final Fantasy II. Very excellent game. You know, you start out, fighting. Of course, there's a ruler who's trying to take over the world, and it's got everything. You know, it's got great stories. You pick up people along and go. I mean, you go to the moon, you go below the earth, you get to fly an airship. It's the story is what makes that game, and the Final Fantasy franchise has always been like that. Now they kind of lost me at Final Fantasy X2, I think it was, when they went to PlayStation 2, when they went to the whole taller animated thing. You know, they kind of lost me there. But you know, going back, like, you know, there was a lot of great ones, like on the PS1. You had 5, 6, and 7, and now they announced a remake of 7 for the PS4. Which I probably won't buy because I have the downloaded copy of FF7. And remakes are nice, but not necessarily always a necessity for me. Now, I did rebuy the Resident Evil remake because I really wanted to play it, so I bought the game off eBay because it was one of the ones I didn't have. And God, the controls were horrible and hokey, and I forgot about that. And it is so choppy, you know. But we went back, and, you know, with the new one, you went back and they cleaned it all up, and they get better controls and stuff, so definitely a better experience in my opinion.
Alright, and I wasn't with Randy when we made these lists, but my number 5 is Final Fantasy 1. But the reason that is because that was the very first RPG that I really sat down and played, and it introduced me into a whole new world of like adventuring and exploring, and it's something that I wasn't accustomed to because I did a lot of the sports games, the flight simulators, and stuff like that, and I really just fell in love with the game. And I mean, as we was talking earlier, it was not a game you were going to sit down and beat in one day. There was no way possible. But it was a great game. The whole Final Fantasy series is great. They got a little out of line when they transferred them from overseas to over here, but it was still a great game.
Well, the thing about the Final Fantasies is you had the quest, you had a basic goal, but you still had the level. It gave you stuff to do, and when you got something done, you felt like you achieved something. One of my other titles that I'll talk about later on down, which introduced me to role-playing game, was that exact thing. When I beat that game, I really felt like I did something.
Yeah.
It really meant a lot to me. And that's what games need. Back in the day, like I always talk about how 8-bit graphics are horrible, but a lot of the games were excellent because the story grabbed you.
They were deeper. It was more in depth to it.
They took time to write a story. That's the thing. Like a lot of these newer games, it's about looking great, looking amazing, but not really much story. They give you a couple minutes of dialogue and backstory, and then that's it. And it's just like, that was one of the reasons why I like Vice City, because Vice City reminded me of Scarface, of course, in Miami. Yeah. But the story was great, it kept you stringing you along enough, But my next favorite one, and this is what truly put Sega CD on the map for me, it was a game I got by accident. What happened was, when I worked at Microplay, we had over-ordered some Sega CD stuff. Imagine that. And the owner at the time, his name was Ted, he had missed the return deadline for the game. And so the cost on the game, which back then was $49.99, was retail, but our actual store cost on the game was like $32, I think. Well, what happened is I can't remember what it was, something he wanted, some game that he wanted personally. So he just traded me straight up for this game. And I was a little weary about it because, again, never heard of the title. When I say the name of the company that makes it, you'll be like, oh, yeah, yeah, you did good. But I remember now I traded him Mickey Mouse Capade. I don't know why, but he wanted it. And mine was boxed and everything. And so he was a collector, too, at the time, a little bit. But anyway, the company that made the game was called Working Designs. And anybody who ever played any good role-playing game on Sega CD, and even passed there to PlayStation, they all know what I'm about to say. It's Lunar, the Silver Star.
Yeah.
Excellent game. Immense story. Great graphics. Like I said, it's cartoony, but I love that. The terrain was beautiful. I mean, I couldn't ask for more out of a game. I got literally hundreds of hours of gameplay in that. The animation, the characters. The one thing that Sega CD really introduced in that era was voice.
Yeah, the voiceover.
You can hear people talking, and it was funny because, of course, ours was American dubbed. But, some of the voices they chose for some of the characters were kind of funny. But, it really made you feel like you were a part of their life. And that's what I like in games. I really, like I said, we were just talking about feeling immersed and feeling deep in the story. And that's the way I felt when I played that game. I really did. And it was one of those games where I think I was pretty much still in school probably. And I would rush home. Like, as soon as the bell rang, I get in my car and drive home. Or, I may have been younger than that. But anyway, I do remember that was all I could think about. And I'd play it till it was time to go to bed. And I'd play it. And then the weekends, that was it. And I played that game for months and months and months before I beat it. So definitely a good game.
Yeah, I had a friend named Alex, and I still have a friend. We have been friends forever.
I think did you kill him?
No, he's still around. He's just a little farther up north.
Notice he said had.
Yeah, no, he's still there. But we
Switch with the fishes.
We played that game, and as soon as we popped it in, it starts talking, "Hey, Alex." And we flipped out because we were young, like you said, and that's the first time we'd actually heard it talk. And we're like, "Hey, restart it, do it again."
Yeah, that stuff was amazing because you didn't hear that, and Genesis, Super Nintendo didn't have. You had sounds and mumbles and stuff like that, but
yeah, it sounded like a busted speaker.
But that was it.
All right, my number 4 would be another franchise gaming, God of War. God of War was awesome. I mean, you can ask for any more brutality. You had slice and cut them up, button mashing. I mean, it was awesome. And what was his name? Kratos?
Yes, Kratos. Kratos,
that's right. And, man, it was just awesome. It was up there basically with Mortal Kombat as far as the gore and blood. And to me, it was just a great game to play. And, again, another game that had a great storyline.
I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that God of War introduced sex scenes, too, into games. And I remember seeing that the first time I played God of War and he was having sex. I was like, oh, what? You got to see cartoon titties. Woo! But very good franchise. Kind of repetitive, but it's always good in my opinion. I really didn't like button mashing games at that point because my previous experience was pretty much Dragon Slayer and Space Ace. But no, it was a great franchise, still is. I think they flopped a little bit with Ascension trying to do the whole online part of it, but I loved it, man. I mean, it was a great series.
Well, even back as PS2, I mean, the game still, it looked great. I mean,
Well, I have the God of War collection on my PS3 as well as Ascension, so I have all of them. The 3 that they made for, the first 3.
Yeah.
Then the 2 they made for the PSP, the Chains of Melody and the Ghost of Sparta. And then, of course, Ascension, and I still play them to this day. So.
And it's not the end of it either. They'll still do more God of War. It's just
Oh,
like
yeah,
Grand
absolutely.
Theft Auto.
And like Sonic. Even though Sega's out of business and sold everything, you still get Sonic games. So, my number 4 game is actually probably the most successful franchise in gaming history. Of course, I'm talking about Mario. But my personal favorite is Mario 64. I think the thing that got me with Mario 64 was we had seen polygon technology and 3D graphics with the Saturn, which rushed itself out. But the 64 took it to a whole new level. Because not just were the characters 3D, but the world was 3D. Now, I will say this. With the 64, the camera angle in most games are hokey as hell.
Throw your controller.
Yeah, especially like I'm replaying Ocarina right now. And it drives me nuts. I'm always Z-targeting to straighten out my view, But anyway, back to Mario. Just the whole 3D world, and I'll never forget the first time I grabbed Bowser by the tail, threw his ass off the thing, and it's like, so long, you Bowser! And that was it, man. It was just like, whoa.
Like, I did that.
Yeah, I mean, and it was the first time that, like in the first Mario, you didn't do anything to Bowser. You had to hit the little axe to make him fall in the lava, And the other Mario, Super Mario World, you got to throw little Koopa Troopas at, I think I'm pretty sure it was the first time you were able to physically touch Bowser. And, man, that was just it. I was just like, yeah. And like I said, the 3D worlds, the depthness of the game, the story, of course, and Princess got stolen. And I have a whole nother theory on that, another video that a lot of people have said. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Princess and Bowser, they had it going on.
Well, even on the 64, I mean, besides doing your main quest, you had the coins, the red coins you could go grab and doing your little side quests and stuff.
Yeah, well, see, and that was the thing, too, was each board had like 7 stars you could get. You had like 4 main quests to do to get a star. Then you had, like you said, all the red coins was a star. Get 100 coins in a board was a star. And there was something else you had to do, too. But yeah.
Every mission was free. You didn't have to pay for it.
That's right. No DLC.
Is that it?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, my number 3, and I know you're going to shoot me. You're going to say that should have been higher. My number 3 was Zelda.
The original?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved Zelda. Zelda was another one that opened up another world of adventure to me. And then, oh my God, how many enemies did that game have? Different, Tic Tacs, voices, all kind of stuff. And none of the names made sense that matched. You got Pole's voice, you remember that?
Yep.
And speaking of that, on Super Famicom actually had a mic on its controller. You could scream at it to kill it.
Yeah, sure could.
That was pretty awesome. For those that never really got to play the Famicom, same system, but it did have other options than what our systems had. You couldn't disconnect the controllers, but...
No, that you couldn't do. They were building a hunt on the
But
side.
as far as Zelda was a whole nother world. It had so much, map-wise you could do. You had to find hidden agendas, like hidden caves. You could burn bushes to go downstairs into different little caverns and stuff. And another one of the games, like I said, that had hours and hours of time to play it. You couldn't beat it at, what? Well, there's no way to beat that game, and I guess if you stayed on it 24/7.
Yeah, I think someone on YouTube did it one time and beat it like in 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
but shortcut and going here or there. But if you know where to go, but my thing is, you don't want to experience it like that. And again, that's another one that spawned an amazing franchise.
Yep.
There's to date, in my opinion, there's only been 2 shitty Zelda games, and that was for the CDI, and that wasn't on Zelda.
No,
that was on
CD.
Yeah, that was on Philips.
Yeah.
Because they made an arrangement with Nintendo. Nintendo still kicks himself in the ass to this day because of that. But they gave them the rights to it. They had the right to make the games. And they hoped that it would sell their system, and of course it didn't. So
didn't they do like a Luigi Motel or Mario Motel? Some kind of crap game about a motel.
Yeah, I think so. I know you had, Mario Hotel, I think is it. But yeah, again, the CDI is a whole nother horrible system.
Yeah, Philips Interact.
Yeah.
But your turn.
Yeah. This is my number 3, and this is what started it all for me, role playing wise, was Dragon Warrior. Again, Dragon Warrior spawned so many titles after that. You got Dragon Quest, you got little Slime Quest things, all that stuff, all spun off of Dragon Warrior. But I remember I got Dragon Warrior because it came free with my year's subscription to Nintendo Power. They gave me the Dragon Warrior and a map, I think, of it or something like that. And I started playing it, and I was engrossed. Really short story. I mean, you're after the Dragon Lord, and that's it. There's really not much to the story. But you had to go around, level up, get new gear, explore dungeons. And I remember, like, some of the dungeons, like, had, like, strategy, like, they were dark. You had to go and learn, you had to level up to learn, like, the light spell. And then some had, like, staircases that would take you nowhere. And that was the thing, you had to figure shit out, and there was no, back then you couldn't go jump on GameFAQs, and look up how to do it, or you had to figure it out. Yeah, no walkthroughs. Your walkthrough back then was Nintendo Power. Yep. And, sometimes they made strategy guides for them, and I'm sure they hated the internet, because I'm sure they made millions and millions off strategy guides. But, again, like I said, the very first role-playing game I ever played got me bit, and then after that, I tried Final Fantasy, but then I remember doing Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4. And man, I can't deny it was a great series, great franchise, and spawned more crap on and on as years went on. So,
my number 2 is, I really can't got a whole lot to say. We really done touched on it, Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
And so we done. Like I said, we really went over it already, and just to save us some time, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much. This is, again, back in the Zelda franchise, as David was talking about. This one's more personal for me. It's A Link to the Past. One of my personal favorites. I'm kind of disappointed at Nintendo because pretty much everything they made on the 3DS just kind of emulated that, like the Minish Cap, which was on Game Boy, the Four Swords, even the new one, A Link Between Worlds. I mean, it has the 2D aspect of it, but it's all kind of built off of A Link to the Past. I love that, and that tells me that they think Link to the Past is their most successful Zelda game, which I disagree. It is my number 2, but it's not my number 1. But obviously they think it's that great, they keep building other things off of it. But for me, I feel kind of cheated because you're cheating coding. Basically, you're using the same world, same layout. It's been done. You got the light world, you got the dark world. I do like the 2D aspect of it. It was really good, but I beat it pretty fast. I think I beat it like in a day or two. And I wasn't really rushing to play it, But Link to the Past, I had a friend of mine who actually's got a YouTube video up. I'll try to find a link for it and give you a link to it. He actually can beat A Link to the Past in an hour and 9 minutes. Now, I'm not saying that's the fastest it can be done, but it's pretty damn fast to beat an entire game. And that's not cheating, using the Game Genie or anything like that. So it's pretty amazing. I've watched him do it, and it's crazy. So,
number 1, as anybody that knows me would know, my number 1 is Mario Brothers on the NES.
Boo!
Yeah, here we go. I love that game. It was the first game.
Now, Mario Brothers or Super Mario Brothers? Mario Brothers where you hit the little turtles and all
not that one.
Oh, okay.
Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, you redeemed yourself.
No, I ain't playing the little, no.
The one that was on Atari?
Yeah, no. Now, this is the NES, the one that came with the console most of the time packed in.
Mario Duck Hunt.
Love it. I played that game for hours. I can just about tell you with my eyes closed where every object is. I show you every little trick, the 100 extra men off the turtle shell. I actually, if you go back through my catalog of videos, I show you where I went through it in under 15 minutes. I think I beat it in like 12 minutes. And
Warp zones.
Yep. I need to do a straight run through from every board to see how long it would take.
Still wouldn't take you that long, I'm sure.
But I love the game, and like I said, that was one of them. I remember walking up to the local corner gas station, 7-Eleven, and playing Mario on the arcade machine. But again, I've always, as you can see, Mario was my favorite. Live and die Mario, but I'll let Randy finish it up.
Good old Mario. Yeah, Mario was a great one, and it had a lot of memories for me too, because that was one my mom played with me. But my number 1 game of all time in my opinion, and just the story, the graphics, the gameplay, everything got to me, was Ocarina of Time. And it's so much I'm replaying it again now. I got it on my Wii U on a virtual console, so I'm able to use a Pro Pad controller. But man, it's my favorite. I'm like David is with Mario. I just can't count the hours I spent. And it was one of those games that my brother hated role-playing games, still hates role-playing games. But it was one of those games that he played. And I mean, of course, I know it's not traditional role-playing, turn-based or anything like that. It's more action. But he loved it so damn much that he plays Majora's Mask. Now, I don't like Majora's Mask at all. I have it. I try to get into it. I like the whole mask change and time change and stuff. And I didn't like it. But Ocarina was it, man. It was the cat's pajamas for sure. For me, anyway. So, real quick, we're going to do one honorable mention between us both. I kind of sprung this on D, so you probably don't know. He's probably thinking right now which one.
Yeah, I got it.
But I have one, and he
Just
does
as long
too.
as you don't take the one I'm thinking.
Now, go ahead. You go ahead first.
Mine, just with all this role-playing talk, of course, back to my Mario roots would be Mario RPG.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I loved Mario RPG. I thought it was very cool. It brought together both worlds.
Yeah, and you got to have Bowser in your party. How cool was that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got to fight with you. I loved Mario RPG, one of my greatest games. The part that always frustrated me, though, was there's a part where you get into a maze, but you can't see into it. And you got to go through to get to the top. And I always get to that part, and I can't get through it, and I get mad, and I just cut it off. That's where I'm at now. I have it on Virtual Console as well as my Super Nintendo copy.
I rage quitting on it as well.
Yeah, I was. I didn't rage, but I quit. I was like, F this. I'm not playing this no more. But yeah, again, another great one. You know, teamed up with Square Enix. You know, Square Enix was the bomb. I mean, if you like role playing, you just couldn't beat them. You know, my honorable mention, and again, this is more for personal reasons, but it's still a classic. Another good franchise is Donkey Kong Country.
Oh yeah.
Great, like I said, great franchise. People loved it, but for me, it was my mom. My mom loved Donkey Kong Country, and at the time, I was working at Microplay, and she would call me at work. Son, I'm on the snowboard and I keep slip sliding into the ground. I can't get past. I'm just going to pause it till you get home so you can beat it for me. And some of y'all may not know. I can't remember if I mentioned one of my other videos or not. But I lost my mom 5 years ago to cancer, and so things like that hold a special place in my heart because me and her would literally sit up all night long. You're not supposed to be at school the next day. She's like, "Don't tell your daddy, but we're gonna play Mario. Let's play Donkey Kong." And we played it 2-player and all. And I mean, the memories is what gets me on that game. And it brings back a special place in my heart for my mom, just like Paperboy and them do Bust a Move, some other ones for my mom.
It's the same with my sister. You know, I just recently lost my sister, and I have another sister also, but the one that I lost was my video game play.
Yeah.
And she loved RPGs, and that's where a lot of the RPG me playing come from, was from watching her.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost her to cancer as well. Seems to be about what everybody's going with these days. But yeah, man, again, a lot of those games, it's just sentimental value for us and stuff, as Steve said. I really wish I'd gotten to meet her, you know, a little bit before all that, so I could do some RPGing with her.
Yeah.
But she definitely seems to be a bigger RPGer than David.
Oh, she was.
But-
She had every Final Fantasy on Game Boy. I mean,
Yeah. And check out some of David's other videos. There's some in there where he was showing the things that she used to make. And she used to cross stitch or needlepoint, whatever you want to call it. And she made like a little Zelda necklace and everything with Link, and I'm jealous, man. Those things are pretty badass. So, but again, thanks for watching our video. We're glad you sat through all this. Hopefully, if you sat through the whole video, then congratulations, you sat through the whole video.
And there will be more to come, better content now that we're trying to do the videos together. Now remember, guys, this is just our list of what we like. Don't let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like when it comes to gaming. Play what's in your heart.
Yeah, and again, if you've never heard of some of these titles, pick them up. You know, worst case scenario, if you're familiar with computers, get you an emulator. You know, don't put no money into them. But again, I can personally say in my list, if you're an RPGer or just an action player, you're not going to be disappointed in any of the games I chose. And as much as I don't really care for Gears of War or one of the other ones that David touched on, Pilot Wings, they're still great games. Don't get it twisted. They really
They
are.
blasted the
They're not my cup of tea, but they're really, really good games. So if you haven't checked them out, check them out. David's is more newer stuff than mine. Mine's more retro, but a lot of that stuff, like Gears of War and all that stuff, you can pick that stuff up stupid cheap at what's the place called? GameStop. So, like I said, definitely check it out. Leave comments, suggestions, anything you like in the bottom of in the comment section down there. Also, anything you want to see a video of, we're going to do a video on the Telestar that I picked up for another gentleman who said he wanted to see it working. We're going to do some video, or a video on video game lore and stuff coming up soon. Like I said, we're going to touch on a lot of stuff now. Like David said, now that we're together doing videos and stuff, we're able to got time to sit down. We've both been busy back and forth, and with his sister and all, it's been a little rough. But we're all here now. We're all trying to do videos. We're trying to keep you all entertained. So keep it to the game, and Game Slayers, y'all have a great day.
Remember, power on to the people.
Later, guys.